Hey there and welcome to the Dave Does channel, and I'm not doing a reaction today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the live music scenes. We talk about it on the ADK Rock and Metal channel quite often, and we've talked about how people going to gigs has dropped over years and years and years, and specifically over the last 5 years we've noticed a significant drop off. Part of that was down to obviously COVID. We noticed that obviously there was a bit of a resurgence once COVID lifted, but it seems to have still never quite recovered. And we'll talk about the local gigging scene versus the big festivals, because festivals still do really well. But even larger, more established touring bands are obviously having to cut down some of their shows because, again, they are still finding that it is difficult with cost of living as well for people to afford it. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it was, I have to pick the word up here because I always have to think about this, is about let me see if I get this right. Enochlophobia. So this was something I spoke to my GP about and have been recommended that that's what I'm actually suffering from. Enochlophobia. Now, I thought I was slightly agoraphobic. You know what I'm talking about. After COVID. So like everyone else with COVID, during the COVID period when we all went into lockdown around the different countries and started isolating, I continued working, and because my job allowed me to work, because I didn't deal with people anyway. But I did notice a couple of things that happened over that time. Post-COVID, I found myself in certain situations where when I found myself in crowds or very busy areas, I started having panic attacks. Not through fear of getting viruses or anything, just couldn't tell you why. I just felt stressed and anxious. And I never really thought anything of it. I just thought, I don't know why I'm feeling that way, maybe there's another reason. But this has continued now, and this is almost 5 years down the line, or 4.5 years down the line now. So having spoken to the GP and gone through some of the details about why I feel the way I feel, and this is a mental health chat we're talking about, and I wanted to share it because it's quite, I'm sure there are a lot of other people that talk about it. But there is a reason why it's affecting me now, because over the last couple of years, I haven't gone to as many gigs, I haven't gone and met a lot of people, I've had friends gatherings and birthdays in central London that I've dropped out of, and I've said I'll be going to it and then I don't go to it. We recently had the Hammer Down All-In Festival, or all-day festival down in Brighton, which I had tickets to go to, and I pulled out of it on the day, and I just got panic attacks each time about it, so I just couldn't face going to these gigs. Now you might say, well, hang on, Dave. We've seen you on ADK, we've seen you've done live footage from shows, so you've obviously been going to gigs, so how come you're now saying that you panic? Why weren't you panicking then? And there is a reason behind that. So when I do filming, we have an area up by the sound desk, so it's a separate area. I'm not amongst the normal crowd. Yes, I have to move between the crowd to get to the stage, but it's a transitional thing. I'm not just constantly surrounded, and I know I've got a safe area I can go up to and sit there, and I can watch the show in a chair behind the cameras with plenty of space, and so I don't feel that anxiety. But when I go to places like a supermarket when it's really busy, I have to do it very quickly, because obviously I don't know how busy it's going to be. So I try to go early morning, late evenings, where it's nice and quiet and I can make my way around and I'm completely fine. But I just realised that over the last few years I've constantly cancelled gatherings, given excuses. I've made up every excuse under the world, because I don't want to say I'm scared of going out, but I generally have had panic attacks and anxiety about, I just really don't want to leave. So the question then is, but why didn't it affect me when I was younger? Why has it only happened now? Is it all down to COVID? And I don't think it is just COVID. I wanted to say, that's why I didn't want to blame this all on COVID. Is it Enochlophobia? Enochlophobia? Oh, it's a weird name. We've got a name for everything here. But also 5 years ago, I quit drinking. So up until then, from the age of 16, 17, 18, whatever you want to call it, I used to drink, and I drank every day. Not got drunk and got paralytic, but I would definitely consume alcohol, which because it gave me a stabilizing impact. So all these situations prior to this, where I've gone to gigs when I was younger, where I've been in crowds, when I lived in London, I was always drinking, which balanced me out. So 5 years ago when I quit, and I quit 6 months before the pandemic, in that 6 months when I quit, I didn't go out much at all. And that was because my entire life had been drinking. Everywhere we went there was drinks. So I was still trying to acclimatise myself to a world without alcohol. Then the pandemic hit, yada, yada, yada. Now, I'm wondering how much of this is also what happens to other people. Partly people that have quit drinking. There's more options with the alcohol-free options now, so a lot of people have cut back. Cost of living's meant people have stopped drinking as much as they used to. So people aren't going to as many gigs because they're not drinking as much. They don't want to think about going to a gig where they can't drink. So one of my questions was, can you enjoy a gig when you're not drinking? And I think you can, unless you suffer like I do from the Enochlophobia. I'm going to say it's that. Maybe I got it. One of these ways of pronouncing it, I'm going to get it right. And so it does. It's a real challenge to kind of live with it as a way of doing it, because you're always worried you're going to hit a crowd. Even like the idea, if me and the wife will talk about going out we live in a place called Bedfordshire. We might talk about going out on a weekend and go, oh, let's pop into Bedford into the town. And I will always try to think about, I need to get there before it's busy. I can't, the idea, if there's like a festival on, or there's a boat party festival down by the river, I can't go to it. I can't imagine something worse than being around that many people. It absolutely scares the crap out of me, of being around that many people. So the only way I can survive doing it is by planning ahead. So I have to get there early for everything. So I'm always like 2 hours ahead of everything. So I can find a space, find a spot and make it my area, and I can go, this is my space and no one's invading it, and etc. So I think this has had a massive impact on the live music scene, because I think because there's more people aware of it since COVID, because they've cut back on their alcohol consumption. And they've not really been aware that there is a mental health concern about that. So how do you get around this? Well, you can't take a tablet to fix it, unfortunately. The only thing you can do is know that you are safe to go to something like this. Plan your time there. That's the only other thing that I've managed to do. So we've got, in 2 weekends' time, we've got an all-dayer at a place called the Red Lion in Stevenage. It's going to be incredibly busy. I've seen pictures from previous years and it's packed. I'm already panicking about going to it. So the only way I can do it is, the first band's on at 2 o'clock. I'll get there for 12. I will get there 2 hours before the first band, just so that I can find a place that I feel comfortable. And I know it will get busier as the day goes on, as more bands play. And so I will be leaving when it gets really busy and let someone else from the ADK channel, probably Andy, films the rest of the bands, and I will step away, because I'm not actually there filming the bands for the channel. We were going there just to kind of support the scene. But it makes me really panicky. And I thought I'd share it. I just thought it was a really interesting topic on the video, because I'm sure there are lots of other people out there that are suffering the way that I suffer for it. And I would love to know in people's comments in the section down below, how do you cope? So if you suffer from this fear of crowds, how do you go to gigs? How do you cope? I can't go to a festival. I couldn't imagine surviving as a festival. When I go to gigs, when I'm playing shows, we have the backstage area where other people, so I have a place I can get away to, so I can go to those gigs. And when we do ADK Presents at the 66 bar, I can go and join the bands at backstage, even though we're just hosting it, or I can move around the venue. I don't feel quite so panicky. I couldn't imagine it at a festival, but I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments down below. What would you say? How do you deal with it if you suffer from this phobia? And what other things do you reckon it could be that have actually caused a downturn in people attending shows? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. See you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.